starting from phlebotomy, basic phlebotomy services to ICUs, building full-fledged ICUs at home, palliative care, complete palliative care at home. So these are the trends. Then healthcare insurance is penetrating. We have only 27% of the India population which is insured, and that too mainly by the government scheme like CGHS, ECHS. So private healthcare was not so welcome, but now the companies are trying to penetrate and medical insurance is on the rise. Then mobile-based delivery and many other technological initiatives like Internet of Things, blockchain technology, these are going to be booming in the healthcare market. So that is to straight part one of your question, which is the changing trend in healthcare. Now coming to the second part of the question, that how rural youth can come into the health sector. So what we are seeing is that manpower is the key to service industry, and more so in healthcare. So we have a varied range. As you know, we start from physicians, we have nurses, we have allied health professionals, we have sanitary attendants, and we have multi-purpose workers. So in the rural sector per se, what we require is the multi-purpose workers who can do multitasking jobs at the primary level. And when we want to move this youth to the central, to the tier 1 cities or in the corporate sector, we wish to train them in particular resources. Now, the training can from standard pass outs to 6 standard pass outs and can move up to as high as the MBBS graduate. So there is a huge range depending on the potential of the candidate, depending on the interest of the candidate. They can come into the health sector in various kind of roles.
Thank you very much for the insights that you have given us in healthcare sector. Definitely, there are a lot of opportunities coming up, and especially the telemedicine and recently developed courses in the sector scale courses. Also, many of the DDU-GKY centers we are able to run this, and we are here all to understand what are the latest things that happened in your sector and what we can further associate. We'll come back to you and discuss more on this. Now my question is to one of the senior most person in the skilling ecosystem, Anita ji. With all the happiness, I'm asking you a very interesting question, which is to be addressed by all the stakeholders. But at the moment, I want to ask you, what is the biggest challenge that you face as an organization, being at Tata's? You have now you have so many companies, so much of expansion, and you also into skill development. What is the biggest challenge that you feel at the moment, and what should be the way forward to develop the skilling ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you again for asking that question. And I also wear two hats because while we have a lot of Tata companies across over 110 of them in various sectors, I myself head Tata Strive, which is a skill development initiative of the Tata Group, which is not meant to service only the Tata Group. It is a national initiative, and in fact, a very small percentage of who we train actually go into the Tata Group because of the CSR laws, which does not permit, if you're funding, if a company is funding skill development, then there is a certain limit to how many people they can actually recruit. Anyway, having said that, the Tata Group is very large. To your question about what are some of the challenges, you know, when we talk to Tata companies or other non-Tata companies, there are 2-3 trends that I want to just recall at this point in time about the changes in the industry. One is that with the increased mechanization that's happening, whether it's in the manufacturing sector or the technology in the service sector, there is a lot of technology that is coming in, which means that either people will be replaced with the technology. So there's a Tata Chemicals, for instance, had a manufacturing facility in Babrala in northern India, where they had more than 3,000 people maybe about 10 years ago. Today the production has doubled, but they have only 300 people. So that's the way the world is changing. So when we look at what are the challenges and the jobs in the future, we need to keep a very keen eye on what are some of the changes that are happening in industry. But I'm a firm believer when mechanization happens and people say jobs are lost, there are also new jobs that are created. And we need to understand what are the skill sets needed for those new jobs. And this is very important to all the young people who are sitting here. I believe there are quite a few young people who are about to start their careers. That's in the manufacturing sector. So what can be mechanized, what computers can do will be taken over by computers. Therefore, what is it that computers can't do is a question we need to ask ourselves. So clearly, computers can't sell for you, they don't have the human touch, they don't have creativity, and those are all the skill sets that we are going to need. And these are the challenges. This is the critical challenge that most companies are facing. More than the technical skills, I think the first step that all industry people, and we heard it in the earlier panel also, need from young people or new employees is the right kind of foundation skills, the right kind of mindset, and the right kind of, I would say, basic literacy skills. So basic communication, because communication, we're going to be working remotely, so communication is a very important skill set to have. And these skill sets are sometimes also called employability skill sets, which are not very well honed in our education system. Our skilling system is making an attempt to address this issue. But when you do a short-term course, 3 months to 6 months, I can't teach, even in my center, I can't teach somebody who is not very familiar with English to come out speaking Queen's English. It's not possible in 3 months. So that on young people, and that's the message actually I want